Dominated by the magnificent triple-towered mass of its great minster, York this year is celebrating the 1900th anniversary of its foundation by the then Roman governor of Britain, Quintus Petilius Cerealis, in AD 71. And today, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh are paying a state visit to the city, lasting most of the morning and afternoon to mark the occasion. Already you can hear the signal guns firing the 21-gun salute to signal the fact that she has already crossed the city boundary on the way from Rougheth Airfield where she arrived. And here is the racecourse, after a very sharp shower about half an hour ago. Out of the 250,000 people that York is expecting as visitors today, a good tenth of their number, mostly children, are already in place, awaiting the Queen's arrival and the first events of the day. And there the Lord Lieutenant of the West Riding of Yorkshire, Major Sir William Taylor, there to receive her, escort her through the grandstand, and behind, also taking his place, Brigadier Hargreaves, the Lord Lieutenant of the City of York, who travelled with the Queen from Rougheth Airfield, introducing his deputy to the Queen, to the Duke. Comes forward. There is the standard being broken by those two naval ratings you saw, leading radio operator B. Mason and leading writer R. Danby, and a roar from all those children in the stands. Lord Mayor of York, Alderman Richard Scruton, it's the Queen. He's in fact the proprietor of a laundry in York. He was elected in 1946 to the council. He's a freeman of the city, a member of the court and council of Leeds University, and ex officio on the court of governors of Hull University. Sword is presented, marvellous old sword dating back to the 15th century. And then preceded by the sword bearer wearing the cap of maintenance and the mace bearer introduces first of all his lady, then the recorder, Harry G. Bennett, then the Sheriff of York, Alderman Wilfrid Ward, who in his time has also been Lord Mayor and Mrs. Ward, the Town Clerk in his capital wig, Mr. John Evans, of Halifax, Chairman of the York Race Committee, Lady Halifax. I'll be asking how Princess Anne is. She's been staying with them. Then Lieutenant General Sir William Jackson, who is the Commander-in-Chief Northern Command, Lady Jackson. Vice Marshal H.S.E. Bird Wilson, who's the Air Officer commanding 23 Group, out at Church Fenton, where the Queen's aircraft arrived about a quarter of an hour ago with Mrs. Bird Wilson. The national anthem will be played as soon as everything is in place by the band of the Queen's Dragoon-Guards. Flypast of 21 jet trainers of the RAF, forming the letters ER from Church Fenton to salute the Queen. Absolutely dead on time, and they had to be given 8 minutes' notice to form up and fly past. The drum roll heralds the moment for all those very wet children on the far side of the course to form 2 white roses of York, been sitting there patiently under this drenching rain. And the Queen now leaving the dais having presented to her the senior naval officer at Church Fenton Airfield, Commander Shrives, together with Major Petch, who is the secretary of the York Race Committee, and the chief education officer of York, Mr. Threlfall, been there for 6 years, came from Surrey to live, and he's reorganised the secondary education in this city, where he is now being presented. And next to him, he got rather wet there, I'm afraid, is the Honorary Secretary of the York Head Teachers Association, Mr. N. Wilkinson, who's held that post for 7 years, and he's actually the headmaster of the Woodthorpe Junior School, as head of a brand new school in a developing garden village. And he's been coordinator of the working party that planned the education department's whole share in today's ceremony, and he who thought up that white rose tableau that we saw just now, which was pretty enough, but for which the very wet children probably not thanking him very much at the moment. Alderman Scruton, the Lord Mayor, now accompanying the Queen with those two education officers and the Queen's party into the silver ring next door with a merciful let-up in the rain. And there she is being presented with the posy and the Duke with a buttonhole by the two of the children, Mark Dayton, who goes to Tang Hall Junior School with his younger brother there. He was supposed to say, "Welcome to York," but they weren't quite sure he was going to make it because he's rather a shy chap. And Fiona Ellis with a white rose buttonhole for Prince Philip. She goes to Westfield Junior School. And her elder brother is dancing with the junior dance group in all the activities we're shortly about to see. And there, the Guard of Honour, the band of the Queen's Dragoon Guards, marching off, take up formation behind the stand. They'll be coming in and again in about 10 minutes. Now, at this juncture, the Queen is being presented with a silver statuette produced by the York School of Art. This statuette of a silver leopard is presented by 19-year-old Anne Wardell, secretary of the Students' Union at the School of Art. With her is Sally Arnup, a tutor at the school and the sculptress of the statuette. And just as well those shires have spaced themselves not too unreasonably, because if it had been pelting as hard as it was 5 minutes ago, all these activities were to have been moved quickly into a marquee at the far end, and we wouldn't have seen very much of them. It would all have been very, very crowded and stuffy. At least it's reasonably fresh air out here. Well, there you have a really good mixed view of everything that goes on. Music and physical education and judo and trampolines in the background, which the kids absolutely adore, jumping up and down. That is the junior dance group we can see just in front of us here, between us and the Queen. 50 children from 7 different schools taking part in English folk dancing. The emphasis is rather more on informality and fun than exact perfection. Well, it's certainly a field day for the children, there's no doubt about that. And here, on to the racecourse, forming up now, ready for the Queen's departure, as Sovereign's escort of the Household Cavalry. Now, all this are the various displays of the Duke of Edinburgh's award, depicting the activities which boys and girls follow. Police dog there, seen competing in a search with some children for a halfpenny piece. The dog usually wins. You get each award has 4 or 5 categories, in bronze and silver and gold. service, and sort of the interest that they show. They go off on an expedition. He signed it, I think. Acting as if he did, anyway. And so, in fact, just about having caught up on time, been complaining slightly about the wetness of the grass, and I should think that probably the damage that has been done to her shoes. But otherwise, totally unperturbed, but laughing about it. And about to go out onto the racecourse and into her carriage for the drive into the city. Huge cheer from the children. These are the very elegant postilion landaus, normally used at Ascot, known as the Ascot carriages. Basket-work sides, and they're smaller and lighter than the ordinary semi-state landaus, and much more comfortable for travelling on grass. They're usually drawn by the Windsor Greys, but on these ceremonial occasions, but the Queen has decided to use the Cleveland Bays today as a special compliment to the people of Yorkshire. Well, I can't really attempt to compete with that roar of cheers. All on their black horses, the traditional colour since 1661. All the horses at least 16 hands. And then in troopers in ceremonial uniforms, which are valued at something like £300 each, and helmets which have been unchanged for 129 years. Although the last time such uniforms were worn in battle was at Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Butterscotch and Buttercup straight in view. The Queen, both of them delighted and happy for every mind, having thoroughly, in spite of the rain, having thoroughly enjoyed their morning. The escort commander there, Captain Mackey, on the off side of the carriage, is in fact the first officer of the Amalgamated Royals Regiment to join the mounted regiment of the Household Cavalry. And on the near side, Lieutenant Brennan, who comes from Bradford. The standard bearer there, Squadron Corporal Major Doxey, with Trooper Malinowski, the trumpeter at his side. Wonderful, colourful, glittering sight of those steel cuirasses and the plumes, and these big men on big horses. Always a dramatic sight which absolutely delights the crowds. These days, in fact, only about 1/5 of the household cavalry regiments carry out their duties on horseback. The remainder man and armoured car regiment, which operates out of Windsor, and the Chieftain Tank Regiment, which at the moment is stationed in Germany. And all these men can perform the double duties and have served in the last 4 years Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Persian Gulf and Ireland. Glimpse again of the Queen smiling in the sun, obviously delighted by the warmth of this welcome, because here it isn't only the children who are specially invited down to the racecourse and can usually be relied upon to give tongue to their delight, but here it is the people of York and visitors who have come along here to man the streets. And as she passes below us, the street here is lined by men of the 1st Battalion of the Yorkshire Volunteers, the 106th West Riding Field Squadron of the Royal Engineers, and men of the 49th Signal Squadron of the Royal Signals. Up now towards Micklegate Bar, and the first fanfare from the trumpeters of the Household Cavalry on that balcony. Now, our coverage of this eventful day is almost done. The celebrations of this 1900th anniversary year continue right through until December. Yesterday at Castle Howard, there was a reenactment of the famous Battle of Marston Moor between Roundheads and Cavaliers. There are jousting tournaments, and next month the World Archery Championships. Theatre, opera, ballet, concerts, an international golf tournament, and a searchlight tattoo form part of the programme. But for today, we leave the city with a last lingering look at its great minster as the festivities continue.